could find a table to sit down, then you can see the agenda. Yeah. So Brad just left, so while he's left, I'll give you some basic advice. So we're going to have 3 sections of sharing. 3 sections of sharing. Here. Three sections of sharing. The first section is going to be students, former and present students. And Joel will be also providing some items that were emailed or sent to the office. Then the second section is going to be parents. Parents that want to share a thank you or a memory. Now I have a little caveat with the parents, okay? I'm trying to divide you into 2 groups. So one group of parents will be people who have been like on the school board, on staff, so that little cluster will keep those people separate, and then the rest of you parents can be in the second group, and then the third group will be then staff and board members that want to share. So we have 3 segments, and I'm going to begin each one of the segments for 2 reasons. Because I was afraid if I give my whole spiel all at once, you'll fall asleep. And I want to keep you awake. And sometimes it helps to hear somebody else say a few things and spark your thoughts, so we'll scatter them as we go along. So, you have a little agenda here we're going to try to follow. You've already had your dessert. Oh, just to give a welcome. Welcome. All right, first segment of open microphone. Oh, I hate this. Oh, there it is. Brad Main, friend of students. Wait till I say something. Brad Main, friend of students. Proverbs 18:24 says, "A man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother." I met Brad in the fall of 1979, when Brad was 4 years old. He was 3 years old. Oh, wow. 2.5, wow, okay. I don't keep track of time very well. And he continued as a member of our small house church until 2014, is that right? Okay, over 25 years, 26 years. Now, Brad and I had a lot of intimate conversations back when he was 2.5. I just don't remember them. Brad was a childhood friend to my older children and a mentor elder brother to my younger children. Now, as dad and school superintendent, I really, really appreciated that, your presence. But there was a problem, though, with Brad being a friend of students. My family was so intimately involved with him that we never even noticed the lack of proper protocol. So poor Brad was called Brad by all the students for many, many years.
You ready, Joey? Dear Brad.
Say thank you to Mr. Brad.
Hi, Mr. Brad. I just want to thank you for all you've done. I just remember going to reviews feeling like very nervous and like, oh, have I done enough school? Have I done like a good enough job? And you were always very encouraging. It just made me feel better and want to work harder. And also, I have other memories of doing the soccer clinic with you and that being fun. You helping with like the PE.
Or him attending home visits or special meetings at Kent Island in the Lindegren's home and in Western Maryland, right? We went to Western Maryland together. Okay, well, the Wagners don't remember it and you don't remember it, so I guess somebody else I did it with. But I remember riding with you from Western Maryland, I thought. Anyway, Brad, you've always been kind and courteous in every interaction. I've never known you to have a grumpy day. Praise God. Step back, I'm sorry. This microphone attacks me. Sorry about that. Brad was a boon to parents, moving them from wary of fence to preferred advisor. I didn't realize this. Brad was in my life for a long time, so when he started the school, you were 22, and he looked like he was 12. And so I knew him to be dependable, helpful, useful Brad. But I didn't realize he might come across as a young kid, and who are you and what are you trying to teach me about homeschooling? But we're going to have to update those videos, though, Brad, on the new family enrollment. You get your beard on at least. So Brad did our bookkeeping, record keeping, home visits, and portfolio review. He was always fair, always helpful, and always going the extra mile. Let's hear a few parents' testimonies. Now remember, if you're a board member or something like that, staff, you're going to be last.
Okay, I've got to try to get through it. When Brad started, we homeschooled through Walkersville for 29 years. So, you were new, and you were young, and you weren't married, and you had no kids, and you hadn't homeschooled. And I thought, okay. But it was very quickly clear that, I'm sorry, it was very quickly clear that God had put Brad there. He was chosen of God for that job. He had a heart and a godly insight and a burden for people. He was equipped by God for that job. He had wisdom well beyond his years. He had a passion for ministry, and it showed in everything he did, in the bookkeeping, in the sports, in the home visits. My kids did not dread their home visits. They wanted to make sure they had it right, but they knew that Brad wanted them to succeed. And they were not afraid. Brad was available, and I took advantage of that. We had one daughter that was a struggling learner. 7th and 8th grade, she's just barely pulling it through. We switched to Apology of Science. You remember that year, don't you? And 2 of my girls just nearly drowned in it. And I called and I said, we've got to change this. This is just not working. And he said, no, you started it, you have to finish it. And I said, they'll fail it. And he said, no, they won't. And he just walked me through step by step. And we made some adjustments, very minor adjustments. And he said, it's okay, they can do this, they can do this. I didn't think they could do it, but Brad did. And so we pushed through, and they finished the book. And they began to understand. He taught me that I could expect more out of my children than what I was expecting, that they were capable of far more than I was giving them credit for. About 2 years down the road, that same struggling student begged me for Human Body Anatomy Apologia book. And I thought, there is no way. It had prerequisites that she hadn't had. I went to Brad and I said, this is what she wants, what do I do? And he said, let her have it. I said, but, he said, let her have it. She can do this, let's see. My struggling learner made straight A's through that book. Apologia, the same course she would have drowned in 2 years before. And I probably would have let her quit had it not been for Brad showing me, no, persevere, don't quit. She is an RN in the operating room today. She is a student with every core of her body. She's working full-time and getting her next degree as she works. And God used Brad at the core of that. And it taught me a lot for the rest of the kids. Raise the standard higher. Encourage them to do more than you think they can do, because they probably can. Just because I couldn't do it doesn't mean she couldn't. And Brad really helped me with that. One of the other major things, and there's many, we have 5 daughters and 2 sons. The last 5 are very close together. The other 2 were married. The son was struggling. This is a lot of female time. Tim's hours are very long. He was just having a rough time. And it was showing in his schoolwork. And I called Brad, and the simplest things that he encouraged us with. It didn't have to be this big elaborate plan. He talked with Tim and encouraged him. And it made all the difference in the world. It pulled him out of that slump. It helped him go forward. It helped him become comfortable and relaxed. And those are 2 of very small things. Can I put a real quick plug in for Walkersville? Only God knows what Walkersville did in my life and in my heart. And it's trickling down into the homes of my own children now. And I'm so thankful. And if you are a part of Walkersville, you are very, very, very blessed. And if you aren't availing yourself of workshops and staff time, you are selling yourself very short, because it is more priceless than what you know. It's far more important than any sports team or music lesson or anything else that you're making priority. God has used these people in my life in unbelievable ways, and I am so, so thankful. Thank you, Brad. We pray for you and your family, and we wish you all the best.
Cindy, I really appreciate what you just said, too, about just the blessing of being in Walkersville. I was commenting to Lisa today that I don't know, I mean, just some storms that we've been through, having the grounding that you all have given us in our faith. Jeff and I didn't grow up in believing homes, and we learned so much just about who God is and what it means to be a Christian through you all, Gary and Becky and Brad and all of you moms and dads. So anyway, Brad, I'd like to read a note to you from Alex. He always wants to come and see you. So I was like, I want to go see Mr. Brad. So I said, Dear Mr. Brad, by the way, Alex is 21. And he just said, thank you for helping me to get to where I am today. You helped my whole family out by helping me and my sister Sarah to graduate high school. I miss you very much. Hope your new job goes very well for you. Thanks for all the encouragement through my high school. I still want to be a pastor. He talks about a few of his plans, and he says, thanks for working with me through all the good times, the rough times, and the fun times. Thanks so much for your hard work. And I just want to tell you, we are going to miss you so much. You have been such an encouragement and a blessing to Jeff and I and to each of our kids. you've always come alongside of us, this whole ministry. You all have made it so obvious that you are not just, holding us to the law, but you are for us, and you go above and beyond to come alongside of us and help us in this role. Every time we'd come to a school review, you would go above and beyond. You'd give us things, not only what was needed for the moment, but then more beyond it, and just tell us stories and encouragement and put thoughts in our heads that might not have come through any other way. And I always really looked forward to that time and just chatting and, but chatting about meaningful and deep things. So school was very important to you. You set high expectations, but knowing, loving, and serving Christ has always been of the utmost importance to you, and what we're wanting to pass on to our kids. When Tasha said earlier about how she was, you would put her at ease, that was something we always felt too. Everybody would be nervous coming to the review, and then you would just put everyone so at ease and just come alongside and help. And I remember, all of our years with Becky were so amazing and wonderful, and all the help she gave us in elementary school when we'd come to our reviews, and then I couldn't even imagine having such a blessing that would continue through middle and high school years as well through you. So just really, really grateful. And I just want to bless you and your family in this new adventure, and look forward to getting to know you, and thanks for stepping up and serving us. Thank you.
Yeah. You're a special class.
I guess I'll start out as a student first. I was that student to Brad and Daniel. Shh. Those are later. So thank you, Brad, for I don't want to step
up to the mic so we can hear.
I don't want to be heard. Okay, I'm just kidding. So, Brad, thank you for pulling me through, for being that constant support of saying, you can do it. And just like everybody said, he's just so calm the way he does it. He knows you can do it. I like the word expectations, but I also like standard. He has a standard, and he's like, I know you can meet it. I know you can do it. And it's just this, you can do it. It's not a big deal. Just do it. You'll figure out how you can do it. And he's always there to coach us and help us through. I was definitely a student where I didn't like school because it was the standard. You have to do it. And but Brad was able to help me get through it and enjoy it better. And thank you for helping with our class. But it was, you made it memorable. You left an impression on my heart to come back here. And for Gary too, Mr. Gary, and Mr. Dan. You guys are the biggest impressions on my heart to come back here. And then, so coming back, you made the transition easier for my family, for my wife, and working with her. Thank you for your patience and your grace, and just explaining things and working with her and helping her through. You've been a shining light and helping her, giving the steps that she needs to take to do what she needs to do. And also showing me where I can be alongside of her in this process. And so thank you so much for leaving an impression and drawing us back in. So I love you. Look forward to continue knowing you and growing with you and being alongside your family. So thank you, Brad.
Okay. Yeah, this is exciting. A little competition's good. Speaking of competition, I noticed that very soon about Brad. Very competitive guy, I'll let you know. He still hasn't beaten me at ping pong yet. He comes and he tries, and maybe with the arthritis I have now, he might be able to take me. My reflexes are slower, but I doubt it. Anyway, I really have to echo that sentiment of what's this young kid doing up in front of Walkersville telling us about school and education. There was no way that this kid could know what he was talking about. Boy, was I wrong. And boy, did I come to respect him over the years for all that he did with my kids and taking care of the home visits with those things. It's kind of interesting. Throughout our life, it's kind of changed. I'm now going for the home visits, and that's kind of strange. And never Brad, always Gary. Okay, so I didn't get that pleasure like my wife did of having Brad for the home visits. He can take it any way he wants. I know the purpose of Brad, though. It took me a while to realize this. And I noticed what he was doing and the job that he was performing at Walkersville. And I said, Gary's given him all the garbage jobs. You earned that. But then I realized that he was using his skills to the utmost. And it was really good to see. You know, we all have talents and gifts. And it always amazes me that when they get used in the proper place at the proper time. And your proper place and your proper time was here at Walkersville. And we're going to appreciate that for the rest of our lives. I know many of my kids wouldn't have made it through graduation if you hadn't been part of their lives, assisting my wife and my kids through their time at Walkersville. I know that my wife would come away from me talking about school more confused than she started. And she would speak with you, and there would be a form of clarity that I was incapable of delivering. Now, I don't look at that as a problem with me. I just look at that's the way I normally am. And you made up for my shortcomings. And for that, I will always be grateful. And my kids will be grateful too. It's sad that my last two don't get to graduate with you, guiding them, but we are thankful for the time that you've put in them and you've assisted with them. And I'm thankful that you were able to address the issues with my wife and work things out for the success that we have had with Walkersville. And we're going to miss you at this location greatly. Thanks, Brad.
So, special thanks from the Trightleys, Brad. I really appreciate everything. I feel like it's been a long road, and for me, it doesn't feel like a goodbye. Joel and I, were working together over at HSLDA, and as he was leaving, for me, it was like, well, it wasn't a goodbye. I knew he was coming here. In a lot of ways, I feel like this isn't a goodbye. It's a transition, yeah, but there's more going on here than a school. I feel like we're doing life together, and the Mains are a very big part of the community, and we just look forward to seeing you out and about. And as an encouragement to everyone whether you've graduated all your kids out or not, your alumni parents or alumni, just stay involved, and it's not goodbye. And is this sort of a roast as well? Yeah, okay. So what can we say about portfolio reviews? We appreciate some fun moments of Brad finding a moment to share his testimony with the children by saying, "Don't worry, I wasn't good at math either." So that's right. I want to, but a special thanks is just, I can't remember a portfolio review where it was positive. It just was always being able to, the children walking out of there just feeling encouraged and positive. It wasn't like we had to walk out with our heads down. There was always just that good positive, and it really takes the dread out of going to a portfolio review. And we just really appreciate that. So thanks.
Okay, I should have wrote something down. And I was gonna try not to talk. Okay, let me focus. Maybe I'll keep my eyes closed for your sake. All what everybody already said, ditto. How do you not say thanks, though? How do we not thank God? And when we say Walkersville and Gary and Brad and Nana and Becky and everybody else, all of you and all of those and the ones coming that you don't know yet, since we're honoring you specifically, but I wanted to include the family, is that what a representation of our Lord and His love for each and every single person. Brad, I can't love you by yourself because you are part of the family. So Walkersville, that's what Walkersville, really has been and will continue to be as long as God has it ordained. And I am thrilled to be a part of His family and your family. With that being said, my youngest graduated. So keep praying for one another. Because I don't know, but maybe I'll be able to bring grandkids back, or I don't know, but you're not getting rid of me either, completely. But thank you. You're in our hearts. You've been in our lives. You are our family. And on that whole note of making the kids great and all, and homeschooling them and making them, thanks for homeschooling me too. Thanks.
Brad, we've got a few people who wanted to be here, couldn't be here, so they sent some. Chris, we have a special section. It's the Chris Peeler time. That's tonight. No, never mind. So Brad, these are folks who wanted to be here. Nathan and Abby Brown. They were doing something last week. I don't know what it was. But they wrote and said, Brad, we love you dearly and I'm so sad to see you go. You have truly been an incredible blessing to us and all the WCFS families. We understand the needs of your family and the fact you need to move on, but that doesn't change the fact that it's hard to see you go and how thankful we are for the past 18 years of faithful service. So wish we could be there for your last Roxbury. We'll be having a baby then and can't come. Lord bless you all on this new journey. Many prayers. Please pass our love and thanks on to your dear wife, Jenna, for us as well. Love, Nathan and Abby and all the children. And then Donna Beechler also sent a note. She said, Brad, I am thrilled the Lord has met your need for a job, but sad that I will no longer be meeting with you. You have been an encouragement over the years for me and my kids. You were always on top of everything, question, problem, and concern I had. So whoever takes your spot will have a tall order to fill. Prayers that the Lord will bless you and your family. I will be missing the August get-together, so I'm not sure if I'll see you face-to-face for a while. If you are homeschooling through WCFS, I'll see you in January. If not, have a wonderful life in the Lord until we meet again. Love in Christ, Donna.
So I guess the next group is the Peeler group. Brad Main, a friend of mine. Now, just so you can follow, I'm reading Genesis 39, 1-6, adapted. That means I took great liberty with it. Now, Brad had been brought over to Walkersville from Maine Electric as a journeyman electrician. And Gary, an officer of WCFS and the school superintendent, had asked to hire him from his dad, Mike, who had brought him up from his childhood. And the Lord was with Brad, and he became a successful homeschool man, as he was in the house of many Walkersville families. It's amazing how little I had to change. Now Gary saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord had caused all that he did to succeed in his hands. So Brad found favor in Gary's sight and attended to him in every way, and eventually Gary gave him the administrator of WCFS and put him in charge of all the ministry he had. From the time that Gary made him overseer of WCFS and over all that ministry he had, the Lord blessed WCFS for Brad's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was on all he did, in the houses of all the WCF families and at home in the office. And so Gary left all of WCFS in Brad's charge, and because of Brad, Gary had no concern about anything but the workshops and conferences. Now, Brad was handsome in form and appearance, and he married Jenna Lisk, a childhood friend from church and a graduate of WCFS. And Gary was honored above all to be asked to perform their wedding. Genesis 39, 1-6, adapted. So Brad was an answer to God's call in a time of great personal need, going and coming. Just a note, you may not know this, but November 99 was when Brad came on staff. And November 99 was when we found out the very difficult news that our son David had a tumor in his spine. And at the very beginning, we weren't sure what the prognosis were, but we were significantly concerned. And Brad came on staff at that particular time. And Brad has served out of that kind of a heart the whole time. Now the Youssefis can't be here, their last one graduated out, but Jeek Youssefi, who's been a board member for 32 or 33 years, he has contracted fourth stage prostate cancer in the lungs. And so when Sally and I, by the way, Sally's not here because Abby had a baby on the Eastern Shore, so she's over there and helping take care of the family. But anyway, Sally and I were over at Jeek's house and having dinner with them, checking up on him. And at that time, Jeek very meekly asked me what Brad was doing, and I told him, I said, well, 3 years ago we had to put Brad on part-time salary, and he's been making up the difference by doing odd jobs, construction-wise and other. But he told me 3 years ago, as soon as I get a full-time job that'll pay my bills, then I'm going to need to take that. So I told Jeek that was the the plan, and Zeke, because of his cancer, was looking for some significant help at the office, and so he asked if I would mind him offering a job to Brad, and how could I say no? But going and coming, meeting other people's needs in their time of trouble. That's who you are, man. Nuts. Not supposed to cry. So I remember offering Brad the job, and I have a really strong belief in the importance of family, and really appreciated the fact that Brad's dad had an electric company, and Brad was a journeyman electrician along with his brother, and I really respected the fact that that was your job, that was where you belonged. So before I came and asked you if you were interested in a job, I got permission from your dad to approach you, and he said, yeah, I think he's never going to be happy here. Oh, you can ask him. And one of those best delightful moments. I don't know if you remember what you said to me, but you said with eyes wide open, all I've ever wanted to do was work for Walkersville. And I was blown away. Not supposed to cry. So, you were like a son to me, Brad. Anyway, we've had many special, many good years. Always had heartfelt labor, always care. You've never not cared. And it didn't matter what the task was. Whether it was doing sports, which might have been your more favorite end of the spectrum, or fixing an electric receptacle because the fuse blew. So thank you for that servant-like care. Brad was the business manager who earned my absolute trust in finances. I remember that one year we had, I guess it was, what was it, 96? I forget what year it was. I don't remember what year it was. Anyway, we had one year, and I'm driving to go on home visits, and I'm talking to Brad on the phone, and we're doing budget cuts. We cut $80,000 out of the budget on the phone. Cut a huge amount. If we let's put it this way, if we hadn't done the budget cut in January, we would have been out of money by March. So, but I was just able to trust you to care. And Brad reminded me what I told him about finances. I said, well, I know where you come from. You guys aren't lavish spenders. You care how you spend. So just treat the school budget like it's your personal budget. So he named the primary account the main account. You know, children, main as in the primary. Oh, the reality is, so I was the one taking care of the finances before Brad took over. And we had a dad in the school at the time that had retired from the IRS. So he volunteered to come in and train Brad, and Brad got a couple courses at the community college and in accounting to get the handle on stuff. And invited in this accountant to come and see what Gary had done. Now, I'm a very creative person. And I think differently than many people. So I'm looking at Brad and this IRS guy laughing at my categories because they were so creative, but they didn't have anything to do with real accounting. So I will try not to make any new accounts without your permission. Brad was always adaptable to ongoing changes and the need for the ministry, whether it was sports clinics, construction foreman of the office, or an attempt to be VOTEC director. Thank you, Brad. You always served. I know the personally, I told you on occasion, but I had many older men, I mean my age, working on staff. And I don't know, maybe it was the youth, maybe it was the longevity, but you always respected me. And you always, you never questioned whether I had a bad motive or not when I'm doing this or that. And I just appreciate that. That was always something that sometimes your peers have problems of their own that show up in the workplace, and it's difficult and blindside, but never had a problem one day with you, Brad. Appreciate that. And you were a servant leader. 3 years ago, I guess it was closer to 4 years, but we realized the decline of the school enrollments were such that we're not having enough income to pay full tuition, to pay full salaries. So I talked to you about it frankly, and it was just such a blessing to me that I told you, I said, well, God called me to the ministry first, and he called me to get paid second. So I'll do other things that I have to get paid, but this is the ministry. And you said that's your heart. You want to do the same, and you have, and you did, selflessly and sacrificially, never complaining. And I'm glad the Lord provided work for you all the way up. Brad said he had jobs all the way through till the day that he agreed to work for Zeke. And then all of his work vanished. So God's timing is always perfect. So Brad, thanks. A friend, a brother. It's been really more than 18 years. It's been a wonderful life. Now, Chris, you're on.
Oh, hi. Go ahead.
I don't know if you remember the first day that we met. Probably not, but I will remind you. It was April or May of 2009. Chris and I weren't even married yet. We were still dating. And you single-handedly were responsible for keeping me out of a maximum security prison. Fort McHenry. I had my 6 guys, Faith and Charity were there, and there was this big grassy hill that was really cool. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to get all the kids up there, line them up, and take a picture like an album cover, right? And so the only problem was that there was this little sign that said, "Stay off the grass." But I was like, they don't really mean it. Let's just do it real quick. And so I get the kids up there. I line them up. You're coming. I get the picture, and then just as I take the picture, I get this tap on my shoulder. They need to get down from there. So thank you. I got the picture. I think it's still on Chris's office desk. You're a great rule keeper. You're a great timekeeper. You're faithful, Brad. Thank you for the faithful years of serving our family personally, Chris and I personally, all of the people here. We love you dearly, and we're so grateful. Thank you for the patience in the 11th hour submission of research papers. Thank you for all of it. We're super grateful. We love you.
I am really moved by this, Brad. And Gary doesn't cry much. I've known him for, since 1920 or something like that, right? And he just doesn't cry. So the fact that he's up here moved to tears really is very informative about what you mean to him. And Gary's dear friend of mine. And when Gary is impacted, I'm impacted. And I know from his testimony as he and I have been friends, just how much you have meant. Now, he expressed it, but from me standing out here looking, I've seen it. And that's rare, to be that kind of a friend and brother, and I'm moved by it. So, having said that, just a couple, 4 things. Number one, Gary this morning stood up and said, some of you, do you have an idea when we get, how we get calls for transcripts? And he said, let me explain what I mean by that. And ultimately, the calls for transcripts, I need a transcript today, because that's the kind of calls you all get. And that's the way I have dealt with Brad over the years. Brad! And unbelievable how patient and how much of a servant you have been. I deserved, Chris, we can't jump every time you never treated me like that. And you always helped, and I'm just so grateful. Second thing, you are faithful to put things on calendars. And calendars are meant to look over and know when the dates. And I never remembered my calendar, as you well know. And I would continually call you, when is the board meeting, Brad? And when is this? And when are we supposed to? And again, you would very kindly just tell me when it was going to be, instead of scolding me about not keeping my calendar. Thank you for... It is on the calendar, Chris. Yeah. Oh, that's right. There's such things as calendars. The next thing, you may or may not remember, but I want everybody to know, one of the things that all of us as parents are trying to teach our children is to have teachable, humble spirits, right? To listen when they're instructed and to not be defensive. And years ago, I don't even know how long, I stood with you and said, hey, Brad, and it was about a particular function, what was going on, and I was trying as an older guy to give you a little input about the way meeting was. Do you remember that? And I tried to be gracious. What's that? I was trying to encourage you. But your response to me was so beautiful. It was, you wanted to hear, you wanted to learn, you graciously. I've talked to lots of people over the years, and most people are pretty defensive and bristly if they're even graciously told something. But you demonstrated, and I know that's been the way he is, right? Teachable, humble. I want to learn, I want to grow. And that's an example to all of us. And then finally, your cheerfulness is uncanny to me. I don't know that I've ever seen or heard a grumbly thing from you. I grumble to my chagrin, but I don't think I've ever heard, and you're just cheerful. When I've talked to you, cheerful, joyful, the joy of the Lord. And that has so encouraged and blessed me through the years. Thank you for all that you've done. And I just think this is so wonderful. And I hope you're getting to feel just how appreciated you are and how much we love you. Okay. All right.
As both a parent and in this case a former trustee, I've had a lot of dealings with Brad, as all of us have. And one of the things that we've been bringing out little pieces of Brad's life in us as individuals, and then as in the Walkersville organization. But that list is exhaustive. I mean, we could talk and just go down a list. This guy did so many things behind the scenes that most of us don't even know, including myself. But I did want to bring up a few of them and some things about Brad that I appreciated. First of all, the portfolio reviews, we've all gone through them. And my previous job, I had the privilege of being able to take off and get to them. And to watch him do a portfolio review with our children is just awesome. The way he handles the situations, very professional, but he the points get across, but there's that caring love that you, as somebody else mentioned here, you could feel that he is interested in your children's best. Okay, he's not just going through a list as a job. It's way beyond that. Sports clinics. When we were doing sports clinics, my children learned a lot about sports. We didn't learn just to play the game. We learned how it works, how to do our best, and how to respect the other person in doing that. And it's not all about winning and all that. It was, the attitudes he gave to our children through sports clinics was awesome. And then those attitudes that our children learned there spread into everyday life, whether it be wherever they're working or at church activities or whatever. As I said, I was a former trustee, and so I had the privilege of dealing with Brad. And if you like spreadsheets, Brad knew how to make spreadsheets. Wide spreadsheets, long spreadsheets, lots of numbers. He was excellent in putting together all the little intricacies that go on behind the scenes in all the finances. So you did a superb job. We always, had information that we could act on. And so that was really important. Struggling learners, as far as our family goes, well, portfolio reviews were just a piece of the challenges we gave with some of our children on being struggling learners. And I had one child that didn't want to school. And some of the counsel I actually got was very important in letting him fail, because I took that counsel and went with it. My child today is doing awesome because that man gave me the right answer that my wife and I needed to hear. Expo. Do you realize how much goes on behind the scenes at an expo? This guy is awesome. Not taking stuff away from Gary, okay? Because he does help you, right? No. Just the organization of everything, working with Machi there, and investing in all your children and the yearbook clubs and everything that was going on behind the scenes there to make that happen. It wouldn't have happened over all these years without him. This annual conference, you see what happens every year. I mean, they're working weeks ahead of time to get ready for this, both Gary and Brad. So, and finally, graduation. If some of you have never been to the graduation, it's nothing like you'd ever see. It is meat. It isn't baby food like you get at some graduations of high schools. And when you hear the testimonies of these children and seeing what God is doing and going to do, that just didn't happen. Yes, the parents were probably the main thrust, but without the partnership of people like Gary and Brad, our children wouldn't be probably as far as they are today. I'm not taking it away from the Lord. The Lord can do everything without us. Okay, I understand that. Finally, though, I want to bring up some character qualities. And some of these have already been probably brought up directly or indirectly, but I think they're worthy of mention. And again, organized. Gave you examples out of the expo and everything. He's always been an organized person. Encouraging. Always encouraging. Okay? He could take a situation and always find a way to encourage through it. Loving and caring. A family man. I've watched him get married, raising his children. I watch him deal with his children, work with his children. This is a godly father, that loves his family and his children and is following the Lord. And he's thorough in all he does. He's diligent in all he does. He's always available. He makes that known. Call me. I'm available. Yeah, I can help him. If he's struggling, call me. He's always said that. He's a giant spiritual mentor. He always had scripture when he wanted and encouraging my children and encouraging my wife and I. So Brad, I can't say thank you enough. I know when you leave a job, you like wonder what will happen. You know, you got to let it go. And we are blessed that God has sent somebody that has these same character qualities. I've known Joel, and God has answered prayer, and so we're looking forward to what Joel's going to do. Yeah, thanks.
It's been a while since my wife and I have been around here. I don't know, when was the last time? Maybe 6, 7 years ago. I wear a couple of hats here. I'm going to wear the parent hat first. Thank you very much for the input that you had in our lives during those years. Cassie Sandy, she was Sandy when she was here and then changed her name to Cassie, so I get confused. So if I'm confused, you're definitely going to get confused. She graduated in 1999, and my son graduated in 2003, and then I was part of the board after that. So thank you very much. Now I'll take my parent hat off. Now I'm going to put my male hat on. Okay? When I first met you, I discovered a couple of things. One, I saw that you were insecure in your first role when you came to WCFS. But that didn't stop you. And we had long talks about that. And I remember being very impressed with two specific things. One, your concern for others, and that you were doing the best job you possibly could for others, not for yourself, but for others. And two, your walk with God, your character development. God has blessed you with a lot of natural abilities, which you've even grown in since the last time I saw you, even very much so, in your administration abilities and what you like to do. But without those two characters, focusing on others and godly character and developing your godly character, they're nothing. Now, I'm going to put the elder hat male on. Knowing those two characters, I charge you that you stay attention and make attention, the attention in your life on those two characters wherever you go. And when that happens, and when you do that, and you continue that focus, what you see here will be your whole life. You're transitioning from here to somewhere else. Here has had the impact of your life. Here is where you were to be for that part of your life. And you can see the impact. And there are many people that aren't here that would say the same thing. Don't get me wrong in that regard. But now you're transitioning from here to somewhere else. That somewhere else needs to see Jesus. They need to see those two characteristics, you know, that you're focused on others and that you're focused on the Lord and you want your character to be the best in the Lord. Now, with that said, I'm going to put my dad hat on. That's also for your kids. You already know that, but I'm just reminding you. So thank you very, very much for what you've done, your service. And I know the Lord is with you and he will continue to be with you. And keep your heart open at all times for him.
Well, I just want to say thank you to one of my longtime best friends, Brad. And, you know, one of the boldest young kids I've ever known at age 5 or 6. When we were playing football together and we were playing out in the backfield, and I saw that electric fence and I picked up a wet corn cob and said, "Hey, Brad, touch this wire." And you boldly did it. And then, brave, because I didn't want to do it. But you know what was neat is just to have that friendship over the years. And then I remember praying, feeling the Lord was directing my steps possibly to law school, but didn't have the peace to go because there wasn't someone to step in and help Dad and in the administrative roles that I was doing, and see that the Lord did that in your life and had brought you on. And I remember it was here, I don't know if you remember this, but somewhere about behind those prayer places, we prayed together because you were praying for a wife. And you remember that? And I tell you, it was precious to me because I saw a young man who was bold and on fire and absolutely willing to trust the Lord in every area of your life. And so I knew you were the guy that God was bringing on here. And then it was so neat to see a beautiful young lady come into your life and, see all that good, fun, lovey-dovey. And then your beautiful kids and family. You've been, as was mentioned, your heart for the Lord was first. And I would encourage all the young people that hear that is the path of your own blessing before the Lord. If you surrender your heart to Jesus Christ and trust Him in all the areas of your desires, He will fill that, but you keep Him first in your life, and He'll do that. And that's what He's done and is doing in your life. Then also, He protects and blesses. And that time you were, I asked, I don't know, you were doing something for me up at CB Byers Center, and you came down your hill, and tell you what, he was a strong guy, still a strong guy, athlete, bold, go where no man has ever gone, and you took that bike across that ditch or something, and somebody jumped in your path, and you were a hero, and I don't know what happened, but you ended up with a broken arm. It wasn't broken? Oh, okay. You had a concussion, yeah. I remember that day at conference, and just to see the Lord, it was encouraging. The Lord protected you, but also to see that eagerness, that zeal. You were go get 'em, and the Lord then put you in that position, has blessed you. And then in reciprocal, I honestly can tell you, I don't think I would have been able to go to law school or make it through law school if you weren't there helping Dad and helping the ministry, because I felt a freedom. I knew you were the guy. And so I'm here as a testament to tell you, thank you for that opportunity that you gave me, even though you might not have understood or realized it. And also then you blessed me, and this is the third part. You honored God, you honored your family. The Lord is doing a beautiful work in your lives, and it's just treasure that. And it's always fun to say, hey, what's Brad doing? Oh, he's fishing with his kids, or he's doing something with his wife and family, and that's precious. But then you also minister to others, and you have mentored my son Josiah and our kids, and that has been a blessing. And now, just like has been said, never give up. You gave those charges to our kids and to my son Josiah, and he has been mentored and blessed from it to the point where he was able to graduate, didn't give up, and then went on to college and didn't give up. Now he's in the Army, and he is learning to not give up, even in some of the toughest training the Army has. And that's something you sowed into his life, and some of those moments. But thank you. God bless you. And don't be a stranger.
Well, I could go from the parent side, but that's been well covered. So we'll skip on to the other side when I started working at the office too. And it has just been a great pleasure to watch you with the families and with individuals, because you truly care. And I want to thank you for the immense, abundant amount of grace you have shown me, and especially the value, both of you, that have shown me. That's been unexpected and surprising. And and I had a friend once say to me, you have the best bosses. Yep. But you're gonna miss me. Brad, where is Brad? The copier's acting weird. Brad, how does this work? Brad, Brad, if I press this button, Brad, what should I tell them? Brad, I can't figure this out. Brad, why do people, Brad, do I really have to call them? I'm going to miss the man with all the answers.
Yeah, you will.
But I'm thankful for your example of waiting on God for your answers. And I'm thankful that you've been a best boss and making it fun. And now it's a great privilege to be able to call you my friend.
That's funny because she just stole half about what I was going to say. Because Donna took my place when I was on the staff, and that's what I used to say. Brad, how do you do this? You know, all these different things. But I've known Brad for a long time. We came to Walkersville because of Daniel Cox. Phone call. I found the number in the phone book, called, and Daniel's on staff, and he asked. I mean, he talked to me for about 45 minutes, and we were hooked. And God led us here, and then a couple years later, I think we started coming to the church. But Brad, I think you were at Pensacola Christian College at that point. So we knew your parents, Mike and Ellen, and Chad was there. And then all of a sudden, Brad came, and I think first Sunday that I saw you preached, coming right out of. And then a little bit later, he's on staff at Walkersville, and we had, I think, our daughter Abby was still with Becky at that point, but we eventually got there up to high school, and then. So, yes, all the home visits and everything really good. We always brought big stacks of stuff, but those were always fun. And we always learned a lot. We always came away encouraged, like you all have. And yes, you're very patient. You're an encourager. You're it was always encouraging to come. And then we worshiped at church with you, and then we got to watch you get in a relationship with Jenna, and that was fun, and then we got to go to the wedding, and that was fun. And I just remember, and this is what I wanted to start with, but I forgot, but when you were quoting Jenna, the verse, every time I read this verse, I think of you and Jenna. This is the day that the Lord hath made. It is marvelous in our eyes. And probably won't do it, I can't remember now. This is the Lord's doing. It is marvelous in our eyes. And so I always think about that. I always think about you all when I see that verse in the Bible. And then Kayla came along. And then when we were at OCC one year, we got the call early in the morning. Carter was born. I mean, we were all so excited. It's just like because he's part of our family. And then Kylie. And then Kinsley. And now we have Camden back there. And so that was fun. It's just fun to be a part of the family. It's fun. Brad was there. He's a good family man. He's very close to his extended family, his parents, his in-laws, and all of his all of Jenna's brothers and sisters. His brother Chad. He's very close to his brother. He's close to his extended family on his mom and dad's side, and he's close to all of you. And so for a couple years after our daughter graduated, I got the privilege to work at Walkersville under Brad and asking him 1,000 questions, and always patiently answered. Seeing him get ready for Expo, I mean, he pretty much put, it was under his direction that the booth got put up. I mean, they'd get all the high school boys and everything, and he would round them all up. We'd go eat at a fast food restaurant and then get to Expo on Thursday and spend the whole day getting that booth put together. And so that was just, and it was just neat. It's just neat to watch him work with the young men, the boys growing up. Sports clinics. I went to just about every single sports clinic because I like to go watch and see what's going on. So it was fun. It was really fun to do that and see Brad at soccer and basketball and baseball, doing all those things. And he said that, and when he was working, that was his favorite day of the week was Friday because that was sports clinic day. So, but it was fun to be at the office, and Brad is cheerful. He's just always up. He's always encouraging. He's always gives you the time that you need. He always brings in spiritual things. He's a teacher. He wants kids to learn. He wants them to know and to trust God. And and he, like I said, he's just always, he's never down. And so it's just been fun to see him. It's been fun to be part of his, you know, just through the school, through the church. And so I thank you, Brad, for being who you are. Thank you for your family and your beautiful family and your extended family. Just always have a good time around Brad. He's just fun to be around. And so I think I seemed like I had something else to say. I just can't remember, but I know we're happy for you with this new opportunity, but we will be missing you. And but we're excited about Joel coming on too, and God's just all in on that, and God is the one that we want to give the glory to for Brad, Gary, and the Walkersville program. We're just it's been a big blessing in our life. Oh, I know the other thing I just wanted to quickly say, our daughter Abby was also able to be an intern at the office for a couple of years. So she worked with Gary, but she also worked with Brad too, and so that was a special time of her life. She loved doing all the stuff on the computer. And then he gave her the task of designing the sports clinic shirts for several years, and I think that was one of her favorite things that she got to do. So he's just a good encourager, and he's just a cheerful man. He's a godly man, and we just appreciate him so much. So love you, Brad.
Well, we go way back, don't we, Brad? One of my earliest memories of church is getting together with the Mains, Chad and Brad. And yeah, you and your brother. And so I can say it has been a privilege to be able to work with you for the 10 plus years that we worked together at Walkersville. And I have lots of good memories of our discussions and our fellowship and common bond that we had in our discussions of spiritual things and important issues. So I was thinking about how you probably will never know all of the impact you had on people's lives until you get to eternity. And so I'm sure you'll probably never know the impact you had in others' lives. The only negative impact you had on my life was when we were about 5 or 6. We were wrestling one Sunday afternoon. I got whacked in the. Yeah, you really got me. So it was your head impacted my mouth, and it's never been the same. So. But I know that in the young people, especially young men and girls in Walkersville, you did have a genuine, significant impact in a lot of ways for good. And thank you for that. I remember all of the times getting ready for workshops or conferences or different events, and all the young people that come, the young men would come and work on Brad's team, and they're all enthusiastic. So. Thank you for your service to the Lord in Walkersville, and I know you have been a tremendous blessing and an asset to the ministry. And thank you very much for your sacrifice. And just remember, as you're going out to this new job, one of the biggest surprises for me as I went from ministry to a secular work environment. I don't know how secular. I think Zeke has probably done a great job at his organization, so it might not be quite so much of a shock, but it's just a different place to be. You just remember that you're there to serve the Lord in all things and for His glory. So just keep that as your focus, and you'll do fine. God will bless you. So thank you, and it's been great to have you here.
We have a video from the Philippines. for you.
Hey Brad, on behalf of Homeschool Global family, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to you as you help our team. From endless email exchanges to NCAA applications, I really appreciate all the assistance. Thank you for your patience and support for me to better understand the U.S. education system. As the Lord leads you to another season of your life, may He bless you abundantly. God bless you, Brad, from Homeschool Global family.
All right, now I don't know if we can have lights back on. I don't know quite how to do this, but I would like to have, if you've been a board member in the past or presently, if you could come up, we're going to give Brad a few mementos. And it won't be a wet corn on the cob. Oh, I'm sorry, Mark has to say something still, okay. Is there anybody else that wants to say something? Because I'm not meaning to cut you off, but.
So I'm used to talking in front of people, but not with notes. And as I'm listening to everyone, I'm writing notes. First my own notes, but then I'm hearing things that everyone else is saying. And I really can't say that because everyone said that. Let me start by this. We joined Walkersville 12 years ago in 2005. Prior to that, we started homeschooling in 1999 when our oldest was 6. We were in California then, and we moved out to Maryland shortly thereafter. And in 2005, my wife told me she didn't think she could do this anymore because in our homeschool group, it was very academically driven, and she loved the ladies she was with, but a lot of them their kids were getting older, and when they reached 9th grade, they were going into regular high school, not homeschool anymore. And my wife felt alone. And through friends, she was introduced to Walkersville. And my wife, if you know her, she can be very excitable. She came home and told me what a great organization this was, and you know, we should join. And me being the way I am, I asked how much, and by the way, God has used that because I am a trustee. I've been a trustee for 5 years now. I asked how much. She told me. So why would we spend that kind of money? And where is it? It's over an hour away. To go drive an hour for what? To get encouragement? Can't you encourage yourself? Aren't I enough? And me being a very wise husband, after I went away and sulked for a little while, I listened to my wife, and I don't know, I think it was when she introduced that idea to me. It might have been July of '05, so Roxbury is in August. So I went out with my wife, and it was kind of strange because everyone was with their families, and it was just, we left our kids at home because that's what I thought you're supposed to do. And just Ann and I came, and we met Gary, and we met, I remember meeting Sally, and I said, "This is the pastor's wife? She's so young and attractive." And this is, I mean, it seemed kind of hip, you know? And it wasn't what I expected. And I was taken with Gary right away, and then, this is about you, Brad, isn't it? I'm gonna check my time here. By the way, don't let me forget I brought my camera because I want to take a shot of your family from here before I get down. I met Brad, I'm pretty sure, at the same Roxbury thing, and I was like, all right, I was back to the money thing again, and the distance. He seemed like a nice kid, but he's a kid. And you know, what does he know about anything? I mean, he's very nice, and I watched him play sports. I thought that was cool. And so anyway, those were my honest impressions of the first experiences with Walkersville and Gary and Sally and Brad. And I think shortly after that, maybe a month or two, my wife took the children to a home visit in Thurmont to see Brad, and I think my wife was a little nervous, and she told me she'd be home. My recollection is like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I said, all right, I'll be home at 6. I got home at 6:30 and she wasn't home yet. And she came home a little after that. I said, where were you? I was at Walkersville. And you said you'd be home at 3. Well, Brad's so nice, and he's so encouraging, and he's a really good talker. And so maybe it was the next one or the one after I went to the visit. And I was like, this guy can talk. I mean, just talk and talk and talk. And I say that as, that's a great thing, because you are so encouraging. And that's what these moms need. I'm amazed at your ability. And I know it's God-given, because everything anyone could do well, it's God-given. God equipped you perfectly for this job. And I know he's going to equip you, because I know you, and I know how God's equipped you, and you don't have to be him, and he's not you, and you're going to do wonderful. I know you are. But he equipped you perfectly for this job. And a lot of people have said this. You're like this package of encouragement and optimism and patience, and I don't know if I've seen that in anyone before. And I don't know how you can handle all the details of what you had to go through with the administration, and frankly dealing with emotional people and scared people and insecure people, and I'm just talking about the dads. I mean, but amazing that, and when I see someone like you, when I know someone like you, that increases my faith. You are, to me, what your faith is very winsome. You are, to me, what I want my sons to be like. I want me to be more like. You know, your picture, your character, and your how you treat people. And I don't think you can have a better testimony than that. You know, your administrative skills are great and all that, but lots of people can do tough things, math things, science things, and that's great. But how you handle people, and how you work with them, that's a great testimony. And I hope you know that. So you fairly quickly turned a skeptic into a believer. I think most people here are believers in what we have here, Gary and you and the whole team, Becky. Well, what I'm telling you is heartfelt, and I hope you remember that. It's just not from me, it's from everyone. And I trust that this season in your life is over. It was a long one. It was your first professional stint coming out of college, 18 years, and now you enter a new season. It's going to be different. But I trust you're going to bless others the way you've blessed us. I think about my children and how you encourage them, interacted with them. Each of my children, I think, tested you. He's nodding. And you challenged them, and in a good way, and I think they're better for it. I think if each of them were here today, I have one in Texas, one in North Carolina right now, and they gave a testimony as an 18-year-old could, or a 22-year-old could, or 20, you would be blessed because they would express in their own way that they liked you. They liked you because you were real and you were solid, and you challenged them, and you were genuine. And that's a good thing, to be liked, not because you're compromising, but because your faith is strong. Like I said earlier, you make Christianity winsome, and I think we could all learn from that. Finally, if I have everything else to say, there's one thing, it's a couple things. My wife was always nervous for her visits. And then when she came home, she was floating on a cloud. And that's because of you and Gary. But often she would meet with you. And that's a hard thing to do. And I appreciate you for that. My wife has a pretty good, deep relationship with Becky. And I've joked to Becky, because my wife's on the phone with her all the time. And I said, Becky, if you would have charged for this, I probably owe you $1 million by now. But you're like her in that you give time, and that's not an easy thing to do. One thing I'll miss, just as a last thing, is I've been to maybe 6 or 7 graduations, each of my own kids and a few others, and I will miss you pronouncing the graduation names. Sally, Elizabeth, Samson, whatever the name is. First name, middle name, last name. God bless you and your family. Thanks for putting up with him. I know he's imperfect, but he's a special person. Let me take a picture. Can you all move in a little more? You want the in-laws in? Come get the in-laws in. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Are there any other speakers you want to share?
Hi. Hi. Never mind.
So, why don't we all give a standing applause and give the Lord glory for the testimonies. You may be seated, and if I could have board members, past and present, to come up, we're going to give a couple mementos. And is there somebody taking pictures? Is there a yearbook camera person handy? Can I ask somebody to take pictures on my phone? I have a... All right, so we have a few mementos for you, Brad. Which would you like to start? I guess we'll start with the least. Okay. So there's a box of cards over there also for you, a metal box. Come on up. And so I think, can I move this forward? Not much. That's not much. All right. All right. And how should we order ourselves? I'll be in a little photo snap at the same time. Brad, you come up next to me and everybody else kind of arc behind me. That'll be great. All right. Let me get my hug in first. Thank you. So the first thing is 101 favorite men in the Bible. I guess it's a deck of cards. That must be Bible verses for you. Bible verses, yeah. Yeah, so. All right, and then while you're reading the Bible verses, there's a mug that says, "Stand firm. Blessed is the man who perseveres under trial, because when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life. Amen. That God has promised to all those that love him." James 1:12. Click, 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 click. So, the specialist one, yearbook, which was reasonably devoted to you in the celebrating of 18 years. And we got people to sign it. Oh, my. And if for some reason you weren't able to sign this, you just pull up alongside him and grab it out of his hands and give it to him, Brad. Congratulations. Now you have to open this in front of everybody. Okay. So this is your like retirement gift, you know? Oh, retired? Yeah.
It's a brick of gold.
I was gonna. It needs to be a little heavier than that to retire.
Well, if you're tired, you know, you can't carry much.
I feel like the guy that got the award for humility and then got fired the next day for wearing it. You ever hear that?
Yeah, that was me they were talking about.
It's not coming.
I was going to say that.
Nice.
Oh.
Very nice.
Bradley M. Main, Brad, mentor, friend, and brother.
Yeah.
To the WCFS family.
Beautiful car. Thank you.
And so, as best we could, since you've been the financial manager behind your back, we tried to raise a little bit of fund for you. So I have a check for $1,000 from your families and friends.
Oh, goodness.
But it's just made up. You have to write the check back at the office yourself.
Coming from the main account.
Yeah, coming out of the main account. And if anybody wasn't able to get your gift as a part of that, you add it to that, we'll add it to the remaining balance. So brother, friend, thank you. Love you. Oh, last thing. Where's that?
Okay, my papers are there. I need that.
Stack of cards are yours, and it's like peanut butter candy made just for you.
Nice.
From somebody. All right. So let's stand. I'm going to close with a word of prayer. Not going to be long. Just glad to come up here alongside me. I appreciate that. You know, we've been so blessed to hear all the testimonies. Really, really blessed. And God's good. God's good, and I'm just so pleased. Chapter of our lives. And so close your eyes, and I'm going to just pray. This is adapted from Nehemiah. You, Lord, chose Brad, and you brought him forth, and you found his heart faithful before you. And you blessed Walkersville Christian Family Schools with Brad and have performed your faithful promises to us these 18 years. For you are righteous, and you are worthy of all our trust and service and praise. We say this in Jesus' name. Amen. Bend over. Amen. Is there anything else? Joel? We're supposed to be doing?
Is there anything else, Brad?
Dear Brad, we want to thank you for all the years that you had helped us out. You have been our little brother, big brother, uncle. We just want to thank you for all the help that you gave us through all of these years. So now we're going to sing, Lord, you have been faithful.
Faithfulness, you shine to me. Each day new blessings flow from Calvary. Though others change, you are the same. You are my God, and evermore shall be. Lord, you've been faithful through all these years, through every joy, through every tear. You've kept your promises, you've seen us through. Now keep us faithful, Lord, to you. Now keep us faithful, Lord, to you.
I've only done that. But these are people that supposedly know God. He's going to say, depart from me. I never knew you. We were talking about this the other day, and I just asked my kids, some of you say you know God. Does he know you? And we don't have to figure all that out. We don't have to get into all the theology of that, but that's a good question to ask. Does God know me? And none of us are perfect. We make mistakes. I'm sitting there as you're saying all this good stuff. I'm thinking of all the mistakes and the stupid stuff that I did. And you know, that's okay. We're going to make messes. But what are you going to do about it? That's the one thing my kids probably get tired of. Okay, you made a mess. Clean it up. Let's clean it up. Clean it up and learn from it. And, you know, that's the thing. And I'm so grateful. I give God all the glory. Anything that's come out of me that's good is because of him. And I just want to thank the Lord and thank you for this time. And I'm here, my family's here, and it's just a different season of work. And so we're thankful to be a part of all of your families and continue to do so for as long as the Lord has that. And so we're grateful. And I want to just thank Joel for coming along, and we both chatted on Wednesday. I said, this is probably going to be a little awkward for both of us here, this this thing. And so thank you for the awkwardness, and thank you for putting up with all of this, and as you come in, and my encouragement to him is a lot of the encouragement that you guys shared today. Just care about people. If you care about people, it'll cover all the mistakes we make, and all those things. And so that's, that's the thing. And all of you in here, spend your life caring about people. That's love. That's the call of the gospel on our hearts, is to love others. And so let's pray and hope everyone enjoys the rest of the day. Father God in heaven, mighty maker of heaven and maker of earth, we are so grateful and thankful that you are in control of all things. Lord, as we see things going on in our world, our hearts are broken for people that are denying you, people that are hating you. And God in heaven, we pray for them, that their hearts be broken, hearts will be softened, that they would call out and be saved. We pray for our families, our children, our loved ones, everyone that's here, Lord, that our hearts would be softened, that we would hear your voice. That every morning as we get up, even though we're imperfect, we get on our knees and say, Lord, what do you want us to do this day for you? Please forgive us when we fail, correct us quickly when we falter. And we just ask for your guidance and your direction every day of our lives. And we thank you in Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.
All right, well, that concludes the formal part of our scheduled events today. We
Though friends may turn away, your love is true. Each time I stray, you draw me back to you. You see my heart, you know my name. You are my God, and therefore will remain. Lord, you've been faithful through all these years, through every joy, through every tear. You've kept your promises, you've seen us through. Now keep us faithful, Lord, to you. Now keep us faithful, Lord, to you. Now keep us faithful, Lord, to you. Thank you, Mr. Brad and Miss Jenna. Thank you. I love you.